Welcome, everybody. Welcome back to Monster, episode 68. Not 69, not yet. But that would be a cool episode to return with. If you're seeing this, you probably have seen 66 or 67 before, after we had our big, or after I had my big pause, where I had to stop recording for a while. But just to reacquaint myself with Monster, I've watched the entirety of episode 67, and we have looked into all of the things that did happen in 67. And I gotta say, I don't even know if I properly appreciated this episode. It was an amazing episode from a directorial standpoint, but also from just, in general, unsolving the mystery, right? We have a lot of emotion, we have a lot of kind of struggling with ourselves. We do have our central pivotal characters, Nina and Johann, being confronted with one another, and while Nina definitely came out of this absolutely shocked, we do have a lot of interesting revelations coming out of this episode, right? Seemingly Nina, or one of them, being whisked away, and we knew that beforehand, but being in some kind of solitary confinement almost for a good 30 days or more. Being, almost in some kind of sensory deprivation environment. Although we don't know anything about water. Normally, if you have like sensory deprivation tanks or whatever, you are in water. And here, I found it very curious how Johann described he didn't know where up and down was, although probably, like as a human being, you do know that, unless you're drugged or something. So it's very interesting that we were in an environment where we didn't even have any orientation of where we were. And then being let out and this mass murder of 42 people, which is kind of ironic if you think about the fact that 42 is kind of a very prominent number in science fiction and all of that, right? The answer to everything. I think Space Odyssey actually made that a big thing. But either way, we do have Franz Bonaparte, who completed his mission to imprint on one or maybe both of the twins kind of an interchangeable personality, or a person who can take on new identities very fluidly and acts or even maybe believes that new identity is who they really are, and those experiences that might not even be their own are actually experiences they've lived through. Because a little bit later in the episode, after all of that shit happens and Bonaparte is just standing there with his wine glass, absolutely knowing the wine is poisoned and waiting for everybody to die, I guess, kind of like Johann, eliminating all of the traces of him ever doing this and him ever being there, kinda. Well, most traces. After that, we do realize that, well, at least Nina believes that. I don't know. Amazing shot, by the way. I don't know if that's true, but Nina definitely believes that Johann is remembering it wrong. She has all of that pain in her eyes. We see that she is shocked, but also like taken aback by the revelation, but also I think feeling for Johann, which is something that she uniquely, she most of the time, only she has been feeling that empathy towards her twin. Of all that he went through and all the terrible things that happened to him, despite the fact that he's doing what he's doing and he did what he did. But it all comes to a head. We have a reconciliation where Tenma kind of tells Nina that she needs to stay alive because otherwise he couldn't live with himself. So there's the question if that is almost like a family thing, right? Where he's saying you're my family at this point, we lived through all of that shit together. And and I couldn't live without you, or if this is more of a conscience thing where it's like I couldn't put it upon my conscience that I wasn't able, or that I wasn't able to prevent you taking yourself out of the equation, right? Due to all of that trauma, due to what you experienced. Either way, we snap her out of it, which is not an easy task to do, but I think, if anything, it is only Tenma who could have done that, as the person she is probably closest to in all of her life, because of all the shared trauma, all the shared like times as well, and even just like the little bit of a shared connection through Dieter and Dr. Reichwein and all of that stuff. But we have this pivotal moment in the story, yet another twist, which again, we don't know if there's going to be another twist on that twist, but what we know at this point in time is she's like, Johan hasn't experienced all of that. But he was at home and I came in and I was like, Tadaima, which is ironically the title of the last episode. And he was like, tell me everything, and she told him everything, and throughout time, right? Be that because Johan wanted to, or because Johan was told to, or because it just happened, because the way he was kind of almost programmed by Bonaparte to function, he took all of these experiences and made them part of his own identity. And I do wonder, with all of the stuff that, like, I mean, obviously we could think that maybe this is another manipulation, a last attempt at manipulation by Johan, where he's like, I'm gonna make Nina believe that I was the one, right? But in the end, I think I choose to believe Nina here and think like this is the final revelation of her part, where she is like, no, Johan's got it wrong actually, which is rare. And in a way, ever since I think episode 33 or something, when he opened up that picture book and collapsed, he has been unraveling. He has been shaken, right? Because before that, he was this perfect mastermind. He was this person who had everything under control at all times. He had all of these plans. He had so many things that he had going, right? People that he had in the palm of his hands, people that worshipped him, organizations that followed him, influence, money, all of these things. But ever since then, everything started to fall apart. First inside of him, then outside, because of the way then he kind of like the way he was lost after that, and seeking for something like the thing he wanted to do next, the goal he was looking for. After unlocking these pieces of his memories that weren't there before. And now we get to a point where more and more pieces come flooding in, and while he's trying to keep that appearance of being in total control, and while he still has a lot of influence, he still has that skill and charisma that he has, where he can manipulate people into doing things he wants them to do, like eliminating themselves, eliminating other people, stuff like that. I do think like we have come to the point where Johan himself is wary. He wants closure for all of that, right? He wants closure on his life, and he wants to come to a conclusion that is satisfying to him and that leaves him at peace. And I do think that conclusion might be, as was hinted in this episode, right, that he's going to try and kill Bonaparte, or confront him at least. And then he's trying to end it himself. Obviously, there can be things that happen with Bonaparte or before that change his mind. But he's talking a lot about, I've seen the end many times, the end to my last identity, I guess. The end to a part of my life, the end to a certain like closed loop of who I was for the last 5 years, for the last 10 years, stuff like that. I've seen that many times. And I've seen the end many times in other people, right? How their life ended by my hand, or indirectly by my hand. But I want a true end. And that is an end for me. And that is an end for this whole story, this grand experiment and everything. And I do not know if he wants Nina to have an end too, or if he wishes for her to be happy, or to at least like continue the life the way she wants to. That is a question that is still up in the air, because he cares a lot about his sister, right? He has been partially protecting her for some time. He had the decency to leave her alone until she was like 20 something years old and wanted to reunite with her. He had always a special focus on her, despite the fact that many times he wasn't there when she was actually in danger, but oftentimes I think he wouldn't know in real time. And there was this one time where we were like, Roberto wanted to kill Nina, and we were like, okay, does Johan know about that? Because we weren't sure, right? And every time they confronted each other, he didn't make any attempt to do so, right? I mean, same with Tenma, which you could say like brought him his life back and gave him a new purpose, the purpose of finding out, who am I really? And maybe that is what kicked all of this off, because all of this story of Johan and cruelty and murder and all of these things started way before the bullet, but after he got shot in the head by Nina. After he asked her to. When Tenma saved him, the question is, what did that change in his head, in his mind? Were there certain things that were lost to him? Can that trauma be one of the causes of him confounding his own memories with the ones Nina told him about? Could there be, like, at the very least, this would be an awakening of sorts that gives his life a new trajectory, right? The trajectory of kind of searching for a new meaning, searching for something that, like, going from survival maybe, as in, I kill all of the families that were nice to us, whatever, protect my sister, whatever you want to call that, right? Or maybe it's just his nature, he has that urge to manipulate people charismatically, to kill them in twisted ways, right? Or make them kill each other and whatnot. Although we do know that, like, the parents of, like the Lieberts, I think it was Lieberts, the Lieberts weren't, like, they were killed by some outsider, but yeah. That this incident of being saved by Tenma kind of changed him in a way. Not his fundamental nature, right? Not the killing, not the... But it opened the world to new goals, to new, like, maybe even soul searching, right? New identity searching, new thoughts in his head. And that, in a way, he was thankful to Tenma for that, despite obviously using him, despite blaming, like, putting the blame of the murders on him because it was convenient. And it was easier that way, because that way he was free to do whatever he wanted to do to achieve his goals at that time. And definitely the second shift was that memory snap when he read the book and he was with, whatchamacallem, the business dude, right, at the University of Munich. And then he was like, he told him, I have a new goal now. And now we're at the end, right? We are at Bonaparte. We are confronting that because we know Bonaparte's son is in Prague. But also, at the end of this, we spoke of a memory. Beautiful imagery, by the way, right? Like the rose thorns, the way it's like, it's almost like this unshakable bond of twins, right? The two of them being brought up the same way, experiencing almost the same things, right? Sharing everything with one another. His expression of sadness and joy at the same time, right? Almost like a sadism on the one hand and his empathy towards his sister on the other hand, feeling what it feels like. Maybe the only person he ever had any empathy with, because they were so close to one another, so similar to one another. We have a closed loop with him, actually, obviously, because he was one of the people who was very close to Bonaparte, knew a lot of the secrets, but he's trying to remember what memory is she still missing, right? What memory is the girl still missing, is he saying during like he says Onna. So he's talking about Nina here. But before he can express that thought to the audience, we keep that mystery, a part of him, it's like a very tiny part of the mystery, and he gets shot. And that's how another loop ends. Tenma wants to find that place where they belong, right? He and Nina, with all of the trauma and desperate and terrible things they've experienced, he wants to believe that, and this shot simplifies or exemplifies that. They walk towards the clear horizon with the storm clouds over them. We do see he wants to cling to that hope that there's a place they can have peace and rest. And he wishes that a lot for her, but I think he also desires it for himself, that he can arrive at that place. Tying up loose ends again. He has awakened. Maybe, like, I don't know, maybe he still believes it was him, but I do think that in this case, like, Nina corrected him and he was like, damn, you're right. It was your experiences, not mine. And this maybe triggered something else in him. And he's finally remembered the thing that, ironically enough, Lunge found before everybody else. At least if according to the timeline we have presented here. Ruhe, the place that Franz Bonaparte was, or maybe even still is. We don't know. I love that, like how we slowly pan down and reveal the exact shot that was on that postcard, and on the other side of the postcard is Franz Bonaparte is like written there. Interesting name too, Ruhe. Ruhen means to rest, right? Ruhe means silence or rest, or right? It is something calm and quiet, right? These are kind of the possible meanings of Ruhe. And Ruhen is to rest, to be calm, to be at peace, maybe not exactly, right? Not one-to-one. And nheim is home, right? So very poetic name if this is where it all ends. All right. With that, we are gonna get into this next episode. I think it's gonna be like a 2-episode, or maybe that we're gonna do here. I think we got time for that, and lots of recording planned right now, so don't worry about that. I don't know when this is gonna come out, so we'll see. Monster episode 68. It's up and ready to go. I think we do have the yeah, we need the Japanese, and we need the English subtitles. All right, here we go. Monster episode 68 starts in a 3, a 2, a 1. Okay. And we start with Lunge. Herrn Franz Bonaparte. Beautiful picture, by the way. This is it. Kokoda. Intro. Oh, I'm excited. I haven't heard this intro in a hot while. Shout out to LM Reactions, by the way. I've seen like they started Monster, and I was pretty excited to see somebody else's reaction to it, because it's not that often. I mean, I know Shark reacted to it, but you know, it's an older series. Not a lot of people really want to get into it. I know Film Buff also reacted to it, so still reacts to it, I think. Doggo. Dog is seeing ghosts. Hotelversteck. What the fuck? It means like hotel hiding place.
私には粗大ゴミには見えんがね。
これに乗るとみんな言うんだ。ゴミだ、ゴミが走ってるって。ゴミがゴミに乗って走ってる
Bro,
って。
don't listen to those haters.
立派な五段変速のスーパーサイクルだ。どれ、もう一回調整してみようじゃないか。
お客さんみたいだよ。
ああ、電話があったんだ。ご予約の。
はい、ルンゲと申します。
ああ、ルンゲさん、ようこそいらっしゃいました。
急な予約でも部屋が空いていてよかった。
いやあ、いつも空き部屋ばかりで。
Looks kind of like a small town.
年中シーズンオフという感じですよ。
Mm-hmm.
今泊まられているお客様、あちらのご夫婦だけです。ご主人が足を悪くされていて、ご旅行もなかなか大変なようです。
荷物は僕が持つよ。
じゃあ頼むよ、ビーム。302号室だ。
その部屋からの眺めは？
はい、一番眺めのいいお部屋を。
That's nice.
荷物ここに置いときますね。
私もゴミには見えないね。
The bike.
なかなか立派な自転車だと思うよ。
Oh, Lunga, you're... Holy shit. This is like the most empathetic stuff we got from Lunga.
いや、ここでは応援の増員はどれくらい望めるのかと思ってね。
応援？増員？まあ、州警察に要請すれば小1時間ほどでそれなりの補充はできますよ。でも、こんな田舎町じゃそんな事態が起きるとは思えませんがね。
今からこの町に入ってくる者全員チェックした方がいい。大変なことが起きる前にな。
いいぞ、その調子だ。いい走りだ。加速だ、ギアチェンジ。
Oof.
なんだよゴミ。
まだゴミが走ってんのかよ。目障りなんだよゴミ。
Alright, boys.
やめてよ。
ゴミゴミ。
Mm-hmm. Why though, boys? Why? We got nothing else to do. Holy shit. It's Mr. Junker. No, it's not Mr. Junker. I'm an idiot. It's Grimmer.
ええ。
お仕事で。
いや、プライベートです。
まあ、お一人でお寂しいんじゃありません。
いや、慣れてますから。
ご家族は？
Sad.
いますよ。娘に孫もできました。
おお、お孫さんもいるのかい。孫はいい。あの子は私らのことを思ってくれてる。今もほれ、孫に絵はがきを書いていたとこだ。
手紙はいいですね。直接会うと言えないようなことでも手紙なら書けます。どうです、あなたも書いてみたら。
孫に手紙。何を書いていいか。
何でもいいんですよ。
私も絵でも描ければ。
Oh, is this the ED in the background, like as a different, like slightly different OST?
こちらに泊まれますか？
ええ、もちろんです。
いやー、助かります。のんびりピクニックしていたのはいいんですが、途中で迷ってしまって。やっとの思いで町へたどり着いたら、もうこんな時間で。いやー、ほんと助かりました。
Holy shit, if Tenma's coming and Nina's coming, the gang's all here. Crazy. Crazy. And Johan is on his way too, right?
とりあえずこの町で降りるものをなしか。銃声？
Suspicious.
いや、
この町で銃持ってる人間なんていやしないわよ。もしいるとすれば裏の飲んだくれくらいだろう。
裏手で撃ったらもっとでっかい音がするだろう。それにアル中じゃ撃ったって何も当たりゃしないって。
もう当たらない。
Slaughter rate.
あんたが縁起でもないこと言うからまた外れたじゃないかよ。
It's all your fault, man.
俺のせいじゃねえよ。いい加減やめろって高抜きしなんか。
ルートビヒルートビヒ
Oh, the dog went. Alright.
ルートビヒどこにもいないのよ。私のルートビヒが。さっき銃声みたいな音がしたでしょ。もしかしたらうちのルートビヒがあの子が。
Oh, it could be a hunter, actually.
銃声なんてしてませんよ。落ち着いて。
どうかなさったんですか？
ああ、こちらのご婦人の犬が行方不明に。
それはご心配だ。
とにかく警察に知らせて。
警察なんてもう知らせたわよ。でもあの男はダメよ。警官のくせに全く頼りにならないんだから。犬嫌いの警官なんてもう。
私が探してきましょうか。
いいんですか、ノイマイヤーさん。
Neumeier. Okay.
街をブラブラしますので、ついでに。
Lunge be like, look at that schnoz.
夫人のとこの犬なら知ってるよ。あのよく吠えるバカ犬だろ。
行方不明なんです。見かけませんでしたか？
いや、見てないね。
そうですか。どうも。あ、もう一つ。最近この町で見慣れない不審な人間を見ませんでしたか？
見たよ。
お、
あん
You, yes, exactly. Bro's like, you got me.
犬なんだ、お泊まりになるのかと思いましたよ。
すいません。私はフェアシュテックホテルの方に。
なんだよ、みんな向こうに客取られちまった。
Bro, why is there 2 hotels in the town where nobody ever
こ
visits?
ちらには今泊まり客はい
ないですよ。おかげさまで静かなもんです。だからあんなによく吠える犬が近くにいたらすぐにわかりますよ。
今日は吠える声聞きました？
いや、聞いてないね。もしかしたらさっき銃声みたいな音がしたでしょう。どこかの変質者がうるさいってんで切れて撃ち殺してたりしてね。
What do you need enemies for if you have neighbors? Holy shit. Grimmer and Lunge team up.
ルンゲです。ノイマイヤーさん。
あ、ルンゲさん。どちらへ？
犬を探してるんですよ。
あ、なるほど。何か足取りはつかめましたか？
いや、
じゃあ、引き続き捜索続行といきましょう。
Lunge is sussing him out. He knows he's got something to hide.
酒だ酒くれ。ダメだよ父ちゃん、もう飲んじゃ。
とっとと酒買ってこい、酒。
お金なんかないよ。
ホテルのバイトで稼いだ金があるだろうが。
Holy shit. I mean, Lunge is a police officer. He could arrest him for like domestic violence.
一本くらい買えるかな。
ビーム、いいんだ。それは君が稼いだお金だ。今日はまたひどくやられたな。さあおいで、私のホテルへ。
But yeah, he's gotta get a lay of the land before he does anything, I'd say. Right? I mean, obviously. Lunge was never somebody to be very quick and thoughtless.
でもうまいものはうまい。
だけどただのソーセージでそんなに。
この顔がうまい時の顔なんだ。
え？
いい街だな。静かだし、うまいものはあるし。
そうかな。私早くこんな退屈な街出て。
Literally everybody who grew up in a rural town.
素敵な人来ないかな。
最近来ない素敵な人。
来ない来ない。毎日毎日同じ顔ぶれでうんざりよ。
ところで犬の話なんだけどね。
ああ、あの犬なら私散歩に連れてったこともあるわよ。
散歩？
ヒルマンさんが風邪で寝込んだ時、私が代わりに連れてったのよ。うちのデリカのアイスバインの骨加えさせたらもう話しゃしないの。それでものすごい力で引っ張っていかれて。
どこまで行ったの？
ルンゲ警部。
Maybe spots the dog likes.
犬ですよ。犬の行方不明。
銃声が聞こえなかったかね。
あれは銃声じゃないですよ。国道で車が援護しましてね。その車のバックファイヤーの音ですよ、きっと。
Okay. Unless bro is hiding something and shot somebody. Because obviously, he still got one car, and I don't know how many police officers are over there, so... You don't know, right? Bro's like, ah, my car broke down. Sure, buddy. Sure. Bro. He was about to Hulk out here. Yeah.
人騒がせだな、お前。その骨をここに埋めたのを覚えてたのか。
Of course he did.
いやあ、どうもルンゲさん。どうやら違う手がかりから同じ場所にたどり着いたようですね。
この町で何をしている？
あなたこそ何をやってるんですか？あなた刑事でしょ？なんとなくわかりました。あなた刑事の匂いがする。
休暇中だがね。
とても休暇中には見えないな、その目は。
ちょっと前までプラハにいてね。そこである事件に関係した人間の情報を聞いた。大きなバッグを持った長身の男。人当たりのいい柔和な笑顔。髪の色。私のデータの中の男と全く符合するんだがね。ノイマイヤーさん。いや、グリマーさん。
Lunga is too good. Why can't he be this good with Tenma?
町に何をしに来たんです？どうやら私たちは本当に違った手がかりから同じ場所にたどり着いたようですね。
He's right there.
食い止められると思いますか？この町で起きるとんでもない殺戮を。
What do you mean, massacre? Do you know something I don't?
おい、また宝くじの番号合わせかよ。亭主がこれから汗水流して仕事に出ようってのに。
ろくでもない稼ぎで偉そうに。
何？
宝くじでも当てなきゃお先真っ暗だよ。悔しかったらもっと稼いといて。あんた。
うるせえな、なんだよ。
あんた。
だからなんだってんだよ。
当たってる。
何がよ。
宝くじ。
All right.
僕の自転車どこへやったんだよ。返してくれよ。
うっせえな。自転車なんか知らねえよな。
ゴミなら捨ててきたけどな。
捨ててきた？
ああ、西の丘の吸血鬼の家に放り込んでおいたよ。
吸血鬼。
取り戻したか。
Wait, I didn't know this was Monogatari.
どうなっても知らないけどな。
Great shot. The way it bends, right, with the street and whatnot. The perspective is amazing. Holy shit, bro would have almost killed that kid.
誰も訪ねてこなかったか。ちゃんとチェーンかけとけ。
Bro is on full paranoia mode.
本当に番号に間違いはないだろうな。
何度も確かめた。本当に当たり。
They're gonna die.
2000万マルクか。
どうしよう。あんた。
隣町まで行ってきた。あんた、これ。念のためだよ。丸腰
をしてそんな体験持ってるのも物騒だろう。まあ誰にも知られないようにすればこんなもの必要ないがな。
まあ
どうした？お前が買った宝くじの番号知ってるやつなんかいないだろう。
実はね、その宝くじ買った時ね、いつものね。はいよ。
なかなか当たりませんね、ヘニヒさん。
あら、どうもコンラッドさん。
ご主人がこぼしてましたよ、奥さんの宝くじ熱。なんなら私の生年月日使ってもいいですよ。1945年3月2日。いやね、これが結構当たるんだね。
Who's this guy? What the fuck?
競馬で大穴2回も当てたしね。
はいはい、お世話様。
まさかそのコンラートの生年月日を。
あの男が新聞で番号見てたりしたら。
だってお前がその番号書いたかどうか。
Yeah, it seemed like she didn't.
わからない。今頃街中に噂が広まってるかも。
Holy shit, they're getting full paranoid with that.
うちに帰ってくる途中、雑貨屋によってタバコ買った時、ソーセージ屋の娘が俺のことチラチラ見てやがった。
She's like, man, this sounds so boring. Only old boomers here.
さっきゴミ箱に行った時、裏の飲んだくれが私のことじーっと。あんなある宇宙男がこんな大気の話を嗅ぎつけたらどんなことするか。
落ち着け。
でも
いいか、とにかく俺たちは自分で自分を守らなきゃならない。
Honestly, this is real. This is literally real, dude. Like, I'm not even... We'll talk about that later. And that's Bonaparte, probably. The vampire. Maybe because he never goes outside at daytime, or maybe because he's pale as all hell. Or maybe because he just is weird. What the? Or maybe he kills cats, what? Maybe he's just found the cat and he was like, I gotta take care of it. It's dead. What do you mean? Painter. Yeah, okay, he painted Johan's mom. Ooh, Lunge and Grammar, okay.
Yo, ビムじゃないか。
ノイマイヤーさん、ルンゲさん。
こんなところで何やってるんだい？
自転車を、友達が僕の自転車をここに捨てたって。
You mean the assholes?
友達に一杯食わされたな。君の自転車なら山道の入り口あたりの茂みにあったぞ。
とにかくあの猫はサブマシンガンで撃たれたようだな。
連中はもう。
ああ、すぐ近くに。見ろ。
双子の絵。
ああ。これも。
Oh, he is obsessed. And it's never one of them, it's not Johann, it's both of them. Which just proves that both of them were his experiment. Yes, that's... I mean... But, but he never finished them, it was all just sketches. Alright, so who is that? Bro is in a suit and doing garden work. What? Oh, ripperonis. Bro's just like, I haven't seen you before. Alright. That's very subtle. I doubt it's Johann, because Johann isn't that... I mean, I guess he might be unhinged, but I don't think so. He's methodical. He knows what he's doing. So... Little boy. Did this one change? Hmm. It doesn't change anymore. It's just a boy in the night, absolute wasteland, lonely and isolated and sad. I do wonder if that is supposed to represent Johann's inner state in some way. All alone, devastated. There's nothing green in this picture, well, aside from like the tree in the back, but that's like very, very sparse. The night, so it's very dark around him. We do have a half moon, which is like just a glimmer of light to illuminate the scene. And it's behind him, not in front of him, right? So he's not looking towards the light, he's looking away from the light. His eyes, his gaze is pointed downwards, right? Like somebody who is ashamed or sad or depressed, hopeless. What was the picture that came before? The monster has sprung inside of him, and since then he's been alone. Holy shit, that is... If that is Johann, then man, I'm sorry, kid. I'm sorry, kid. That is quite insane. Alright, a very revelatory, but also a very like establishing episode. But this is the last arc. It feels less tense, less hurried, less everything is at stake and we gotta go fast and we gotta stop this and whatnot. It's more of a slow crawl of calmness before the storm, right? A way of like, it feels like the final chapter of a story, so in that way it's properly executed and well done. A valley where, right, a sleepy valley where nothing ever happens and no guests ever arrive, and right, where usual small town shit happens, right? Like, we do have a couple of regulars, we have a couple of old people who go do vacation here. We got a couple of like kids that are mean to that one kid. We got a drunk father who beats up his child. We got a married couple whose only exciting thing happening in their life is, well, what if we win the lottery, right? It feels so small and insignificant, and yet it is possibly going to be the showdown of this finale. But it feels like a crawl. It feels like a slow paced introduction into this little sleepy town valley. And it's almost like we got that tree right here. It doesn't have a lot of leaves. It almost feels like we're approaching autumn. I might be wrong. Autumn, winter, whatever. I might be wrong with that, but it almost seems like we are approaching the end of summer. and it's getting colder, and we're like, you got the instinct to cozy up more in the inside, right? And we're getting introduced to this town. A couple of people here, right? Like the young lady at the store who's selling the sausage. She just wants to get out of this small ass town, which like 1,000 songs have been sung about stuff like that, right? Like there's so many like funny, but the Killers are actually like the band, the Killers, alt rock, are from Las Vegas. Interestingly enough, though, they sing a lot about like just like people having that, growing up in a small town and just wanting to get out of there, which is something that is very relatable to me in a way, because while I do really like my town where I'm from, and I do really like also a lot of aspects of rural life, at the same time you do feel like you're confined in this little small world, and the outside is so much bigger, and there's all of that stuff happening, but just not where you are right now, and barely anything ever changes. And after 10 years we'll still see the same faces. They've just aged a little bit, right? So in a way, while it's very peaceful and it has a lot of cool aspects like nature and a lot of beautiful places maybe, and it's not as noisy as in the city, and it's not as violent, and it's, well, although, right, small towns, well, it depends, right? It's like more the middle-sized towns that are outside of the big cities, but close to the big cities, that are the most, like the biggest problems when it comes to criminal stuff these days, because people don't want to be in the city directly because there's more like law enforcement, there's more other stuff. At the same time, you don't want to be in like a backwater town, because in a backwater town you do have not a lot going on, not a lot of profits, not a lot of expensive stuff most of the time. So what you are looking for is like the towns that are kind of at the periphery of the big cities, that are smaller, so it's easier to hide from the cops, it's easier to write with stuff like that. But yeah, like in a way you do have a lot of advantages of these small towns. At the same time, like the lady said, nothing ever happens here. And we got the couple, right, that just won the lottery, and they're like, holy shit, this guy, he looked funny at me, he knows. And I wanted to talk about that because I think that's like very interesting, but let me get through it first. Okay, that is oh god, how is his name? They said it at the end, like towards the end. Wim. Interesting. I haven't heard Wim as a name before. Very interesting. But yeah, we got Wim. We got the proprietor of the Hotel Versteck, which is a very funny, punny name if you think about it, right? Like a hiding place. Lung is coming in here. We got that older couple that is not from here though. We find out that there's barely any visitors, so it feels very like authentic the way they do it, like almost like an older, stale motel hotel kind of situation that is still keeping themselves over water and probably relatively clean and whatnot, on account of not a lot of people frequenting here, but also probably like the whole atmosphere feels a little dusty and whatnot, right? Like an old pension or something rather than a hotel. We got one police officer in the police station, which is like, right, hilarious. He's like, whatever's gonna happen here, right? Like nothing's ever gonna happen here. Shout out to Dark, one of the best German series, by the way. Whoever didn't watch Dark yet, go watch Dark. Bro has an old busted up bike. Me too. I feel the same, right? And has some bullies that are annoying the shit out of him and making his life a living hell, but probably not as much as his father does, as we find out later. Very, very sad that stuff like that happens, right? Like you lose yourself in depression and mental issues and maybe economical, social issues. And at the end of the road, you do land in drug addiction, alcoholism, whatever, and then you do not realize how much you let it out on the people around you. Mother doesn't seem to be around. Father's like, get me some booze with the money you just earned. Absolute fucking trash, right? Wim, you're not trash, your father's trash. But maybe that's like also a contributing factor, right? Like that the kids are going around, they're like, oh, there's Wim, he doesn't have any money, he only has like shitty clothes, he has a bad bike and whatever, and his father is that drunk dude that's always angry, right? Like, and then boom, stigma. And instead, like, maybe there's some empathy here and there, but kids aren't always empathetic, right? They aren't always perfect in taking over the position of other people, right? Understanding where their perspective is. That is something you learn as you grow up. Now, obviously, you start learning that at the age of 5, 6, right? We like generally you call that theory of mind, right? In a way of like understanding that other people have other perspectives and trying to take that over and understand where they're coming from. But that is something that takes a long time to actually develop and properly like, and that's why kids, not always, right? Oftentimes don't quite understand and aren't as empathetic. Obviously, there's a lot of kids which are very empathetic. Great stuff. But together with like economic issues, social issues, I'm sure these kids have problems too, right? But they found a group that they can hang with, and they found somebody to put down so they can feel better about themselves, despite maybe not having much of a reason to feel better about themselves. And that keeps them healthy of mind as of now, but it's not gonna last. And he's talking about a grandchild. It's very interesting. I do wonder. I mean, we've known Lunge for a long time now. He's not the best at expressing emotions. Which is why he's like, the whole letter debate reminded me a little bit of Violet Evergarden, because there's this thing about like, well, if you can't tell somebody something head on, right? If you feel like embarrassed or you don't know how to express it, write them a letter. And Lung is like, I wouldn't even know what to start writing, right? Because there's been so much trouble between him and his wife, who I think divorced him now, and him and his daughter, who doesn't talk to him anymore because he's been neglecting her, and they have a child now, and he probably never even seen his grandkid. So how do you start that conversation? It is like sometimes it just feels wrong to put yourself into the life of such a person, because you're like, they've never seen me and maybe they're better off without me, right? So I understand Lungen. It can't be easy for somebody who's so detached from his own emotions and maybe also so separate from like social norms. Lunge feels very autistic to me in a way, right? Like very, maybe not like full on, but on the spectrum at the very least. He's socially awkward. He can function socially. We see that as him being an inspector and whatever, but we do also see even his colleagues and whatnot perceive him as very eccentric, right? And very like in his own mind, and sometimes maybe not quite as understanding when it comes to interacting with other people, although we do know that he's very sharp and also he can put himself very well into the shoes of other people. But maybe that came with the territory. Maybe that came with, because like for me, for example, when I was younger or like a kid or whatever, it was very hard to put myself, like I was empathetic, but it was very hard to put myself into the perspective of other people, right? Understand why they work the way they work, right? And that motivated me to go towards psychology and that kind of work. And maybe it's the same for Lunge, where he's like started from a place of being not as secure in social interactions and then wanting to understand that better. Maybe also because he wanted to be a police officer and for his work and whatever. But that led him down the line maybe of his career, and now he's very good at putting himself into other people and reading them, but sometimes he's gonna miss a couple of clues, which is why maybe he was so intent on like the Tenma thing and then obviously also because he was very stubborn and proud, and does most of the time think that his conclusions are right, which probably they are most of the time, but not if you're up against somebody like a Johann. But yeah, I do wonder if we get a conclusion of like him reconnecting with his daughter at least, and with his family. And we see Grimmer and Lunge's immediately like description, whatever, right? Mnemonics, eidetic memory, whatever, right? Lunge is sharp. We got the bickering of an old married couple. Like, you don't make enough money for, like, I gotta play the lottery. It's like, he's like, holy shit. Not being appreciated here. And I'm sure he is being appreciated, but she doesn't express it that way, right? So it's like, it's a very big problem, right, for him, because it's like, I work hard, I got a lot of stress, I work physically, probably, he looks like he would work physically. It's like, I don't make a lot of money, I know that, but being, like, having that... Okay, a car just, like a car just pushed the brakes, and I was like, what is that sound? Yeah, where was I? Yeah, like, it being put in his face like that, that's gotta sting. And there we go, looking for the dog for everybody. Yeah. Fight of the schnozzers. Holy shit. Those two can rival XQC with their face profile. Have you seen somebody you haven't seen before? Yeah, you. Like, dude. That's not what I'm asking, but of course. Hotel Bergbach. Hotel Mountain. It's not river, mountain. I don't know the word for it, right? It's like the smaller version of a river. Takes all of my customers. And here we meet, I love that, right? Look at that. It's like picturesque. We got the road that's slightly bending, right? Like we're in a curve. We got the houses assembled like this. His shadow, the light source of the sun. It's all, it makes sense. And now we meet and we're up against one another. Top down. Different angle. I love that, right? Like the varied amount at which this series changes angles and shows us a world that isn't just 2D and flat, but round. And I think that's very cool, because back then I feel they had to be a lot more creative in how they displayed the world. They didn't have like certain technological methods like CG and whatever, baller-ass computerized animation, all of these things. They weren't as readily available. So what they had to do is they had to make up for that in other aspects, right? They had to fill the world with something very gripping and interesting. And I feel like even the mundane things here seem like they're rounded. It seems like you have a very good perspective of how the 3D environment that your characters are moving in is constructed by just showing different camera angles. And by manipulating those camera angles, you can also create certain feelings in the viewer, right? Like Dutch angles with unease, like creating unease. You have like top-down angles that are creating kind of like a tactical, almost like removed kind of style, or close-up angles which express the emotions more. An angle where you're looking from down to up, where you feel intimidated or something is like oppressing you and putting you down, while other angles maybe shift in a way that show that you are the one, like the character in the frame is the one in control. Very cool also these aspects where we do see like the masonry of the road, or the masonry of the road being very like washed out, showing that this might be a part of town that is less fortunate, right? That doesn't have as much funding and whatnot. Like the pavement is not great here. And that's actually an actual Deutsche Mark. 10 Deutsche Mark, 10. We got like 1 Yeah. And the eagle, right? Which is correct, right? Like, I mean, even today we got the eagle on the back, but that's because you got like the German version of the euro. Because every country, like, I mean, some of you might not know that if you're not from Europe, but for the euro currency, every country has their own version of the euro. And obviously you can pay in every country, so it's spreading around kind of. But if you have like a €1 coin, the backside of the German one will have an eagle. Maybe the backside of like a Greek one will have a build like the whatchamacallit in Athens, right? The big, I forgot the name, the big building in Athens, like the Pantheon. I don't even know. Like the Italian one will have the Colosseum, right? Stuff like that. So there's a even like different years will have different motives potentially, but yeah, you do see a lot of different structures and logos and whatnot, which have a relation to the country that actually printed the money or coined the money on the back of them, which is really cool and really interesting. With the D-Mark, like the Deutsche Mark, you see there's more like an emphasis on people. So you do have various famous German names in history. I don't know which ones were on there. I think like probably stuff like have to go back and see, but probably stuff like Goethe or famous German engineers and inventors and whatnot of their time. But either way, at this point, it's more like buildings and structures and partially logos, because like, for example, the eagle is the German icon basically, right, for the German nation, which is funny because for Americans it's the same, only for Americans it's like the white-head sea eagle, while for us it's like, I think the standard version, like the European version, which is completely brown. Obviously on like stuff like on logos and whatnot, it's painted in black. But yeah, funny little tidbits. Also 129 for something. Well, 129 for something meat-related is very, very cheap, but also it's like, I don't know, 1990 something, so makes sense. Makes sense. Things were cheap back then in relation to what they are today. These days, it's probably gonna be 4 something, right? €4, 20 cents or something. Eisbein bones. Eisbein is a form of, like, you probably know, it's a form of meat, like, oftentimes in, I don't even know why it's called Eisbein, but it's like, these days it's sold often in, like, cans and whatnot. I'm sure you'll find it fresh as well. Yeah, that conversation was interesting too, where Lung is like, I'm suspecting, I know who you are, but Grimmer is like, well, I guess we found, like, he's repeating the sentence he said before about the dog and giving it a new meaning by saying, well, I guess we found our way to Ruhenheim through different clues, but we're looking for the same thing. And Lung accepts that for now. Wonder if he's like looking for his angle, but either way, he trusts him enough to just go investigating with him at least. Temporary allies. OÖ Nachrichten regional. Well, OÖ, I don't know. Probably the region we're at. I don't know where Ruhenheim is. But we have Nachrichten, news, and we have regional, which is regional, right? We got, so this is a regional paper. Totalsperre der A1. Okay, total blockade, right, of the Autobahn 1, which is like one of the autobahns that goes through Germany. A1 is, I don't even know where A1 is. You know, like A5 and A45, A5 and A45 and A6, but I don't know some of the other ones. Kind of accidentally doxing myself. Well, not myself right now, but doxing where I've been in my life, basically in Germany. Or where I frequented in the past. Der Kunst den Vortritt gelassen. Given art the... Well, it's not the advantage, but... I don't know how to translate Vortritt, to be honest. Like letting art advance before you, like... Vortritt lassen means something like if you are like, let's say two people want to walk into a room, right? And there's like just one doorway and whatever, and you're like, I'm leaving you in first, right? That's the den Vortritt lassen. So I guess like you are putting art at the forefront. Absolutely not relevant here. It's just like a random newspaper, but it's always kind of like interesting for me to translate that. Maybe you'll feel the same, right? Like I'm the same with like looking at Japanese media and I read something in Japanese and somebody's like, oh, that means that. That's always interesting for me. Hope it is for you too. Bro's like, give me my shit back. It's fine, dude. You're gonna become stronger. Yeah, this. Yeah, okay, let's talk about that. Because I talked about that before and we're like, bro is getting 3 guns because he's like, I'm a millionaire now. But, you know, as ridiculous as that sounds, that is so human and that is so authentic, I feel. Right? Like, you're like, suddenly you win a lot of money and now you're like, oh god, my biggest fear is I lose it. Right? Like, because for normal ass people who earn a normal ass wage, getting like millions of euros or dollars or whatever, it's a big deal, right? And suddenly your world looks like this. Suddenly your world is like, I'm set for the rest of my life. I don't have to work a single day anymore if I don't want to. Obviously, there's gonna be people who are like, damn, I really want to do something. Right, and they'll find doing something, right? A hobby or people to help out with work and whatever, right? To stay useful, to keep like a certain kind of timetable and schedule, which is something very important for the human psyche. So if you ever get rich, don't make the mistake of not doing anything anymore. Try to keep up some things that you did enjoy doing. The good thing is, at this point in time, you don't have to worry about survival anymore. And that's a big amount of stress that's suddenly gone, which is amazing. But yeah, the first worry now is I lose it. Because that is something that can be lost, that can be stolen. And if there's one thing you can trust in, it's the distrust people develop towards other people if they have something they don't. Right? And if there's one thing you can also rely on, it's that there is people out there who are so greedy that they would do all of the bad and horrible things that you would think they'd do to get that money. But it's also very likely that most people around them are not that. They might be like jealous, they might be like, oh, this fucking new rich guy here, right? They used to be like one of us, just working a hard life and now they're just like living in luxury, fuck them, right? Like, but in general, you won't have a lot of people being out for the money suddenly. Maybe they'd be out to like get in their good graces, kind of like get something out of them, be like, oh, you know what? I need to get my car repaired. It's so hard right now. Could you not give me something? Could you not lend me something? Like, low-key, obviously not saying directly, but more like hinting and being like, could you give me something? Playing on the empathy, but hey, wouldn't you do the same thing, right? Wouldn't you just, if you see somebody has something in abundance, wouldn't you be like, oh, if I can get them to give me a little bit something, why not? It won't hurt them. But yeah, this is so real that suddenly like something shifts in your life and you have gained something very important and suddenly it's like, oh God, what if I lose that? And it's even true for like mundane things sometimes, right? Like you're starting to get used to a certain lifestyle and suddenly anything that is below that lifestyle is stressful for you. It's like something that feels bad for you because you've reached a certain stage. But that is unfortunately in many ways how we function on a cognitive level, right? How our reward system works. And once we've gotten used to a certain style of life, anything below that is gonna be, unless we do it voluntarily, of course, anything below might be something that is perceived as negative for us. And suddenly it's like, oh God, like I had millions and now I don't have a single dollar and I have to go working again. And even though you did it back then and the work was exactly as hard as it is now, maybe you'll feel a lot worse because you know how it was to actually not have to do that. Also very well connected with what we as psychologists have experienced when it comes to how humans experience winning stuff, and how we experience losses. Because the pain, or like the perceived pain of losing something of equal value as what we're winning, is a lot higher, right? So you win $100, you're going to be relatively happy, relatively excited for a short period. You lose $100, it's going to be absolutely, like in terms of like magnitude, it's going to be a lot worse than winning the $100 was exciting and fun and good. So we are kind of loss avoidant as a species. That's not like, that doesn't go for everybody, but like we tend to experience losses more painfully and be more afraid of losses than we are looking forward to and excited about potential winnings. Müller. Yes. Okay, and suddenly we start like, first we talked about the drunk around the corner a little bit, like, this guy, right? But we know him, right? And it was kind of in a friendly way, right? And in a dismissive way. And suddenly we have money, and suddenly it's like, oh, the scum. I don't know what he would do. Sudden perspective shift just by a single fact about you changing. You have more to lose, and suddenly everybody is suspicious. Bro's totally overdoing it though with the 3 guns. Like, what the fuck? This is not America, this is Germany. Cat is dead by a machine gun, so I don't know why they go around shooting cats. Like, first of all, they're just making people aware that some shit is happening. Gunshots are gonna be heard. Not everybody heard them, right? But some people heard them. And 3, like, what are you gonna achieve? Is the cat gonna go to the police station and be like, yeah, I'm sorry, I saw something? Like, what the why are you shooting a cat, you fucking dick? Yeah. The painter. Beautiful paintings, by the way. But the twins are only sketches. And they're like, oh, was that when Tenma was like... But I'm wondering, like... I mean, he's like, they look around 10 or 11 or whatever. For me, like, they kind of look almost the same. Maybe a year older than when they were in Prague and with Bonaparte. So... feels weird to me, right? Maybe the difference is very subtle, and we jumped ahead 3 years, and because Lunge and Grimmer are very good, they can analyze that and can be like, okay, yeah, they're older than when they potentially were in Prague. I don't know. Like, I couldn't assess that. But if they say that, I have to believe them. So it's somehow connected to when Tenma actually took care of them, or like when they were brought into the hospital when the Liebers were killed. Maybe this is the last time Bonaparte saw them. Maybe like in a newspaper article or something. I remember like the chief of the hospital being like, all right, let me shoot a photo of the two twins of them because it's going to be great in the news, right? And then shortly after, Johann killed him, but maybe it made it into the newspaper. And then we got Bro here. Just first of all, why are you taking gardening work or like forest work where you're removing like plants in your fucking suit? Dude, what are you doing? Nobody does that. Okay, I don't believe that for a second. Or this guy's just totally loony. But yeah, Bro's like, I haven't seen you before. Capping his ass. Holy shit. Talk about an overreaction. Anyway, I'd say we get into the next one, shall we? Double episode time. I don't know how much I'm gonna talk about the episode after that. Sorry. Accidentally started it up before. I don't know how much I'm gonna talk about the episode after that. Might talk a little bit shorter than I did already, but you know, we'll see. Monster episode 69. This hopefully be a very, very spicy episode. Probably isn't, but 3, 2, 1.
このジャムは実にうまい。
ありがとうございます。手作りのコケモモジャムです。
まあ手作り。
お客様から評判
Lingonberry
はこれを見せるように言われています。このジャムの製造者です。
Ooh.
この方が
Rip my dude.
コンラートという男です。
Rip Conrad.
南の丘にコケモモのたくさん取れるところがありましてね。いつの間にかそこは彼だけの場所になってしまいました。
こんなにうまいジャムを作れるのだから誰も文句を言わなくなったわけだ。
Very easy to make jam, by the way.
私の数少ない友人の一人です。
I'm sorry, dude.
写真を見せるのも彼のアイディアでして、コンラート印のコケモモジャムをこれからもよろしくということらしいです。
Bro's a marketing genius.
ジャムのためにここへ来なきゃな。
そうですね。
お客様にそう言っていただけたら彼も喜びますよ。
Yeah, this is like the ED in the back. Oh, I'm sorry, dude. Absolutely unnecessary. Bro didn't even do anything. Really like that stuff.
この平和な街を本当に襲撃するんでしょうか。
Like Nutella, but without. It's like Nutella, but without the sugar, all of the added sugar. I'm gonna start this again because I just want to. Want to get everything, all the information in.
この平和な街を本当に襲撃。
Who is going to invade? Who is going to invade?
それ以外にも方法はある。たった1丁の銃で町が全滅した例もある。1958年。
Zweifelstadt. 58, that is after the war. Ooh, paranoia.
何でもない日常の出来事にも住民はピリピリした。そんな集団ヒステリー状態の中、住民の一人が護身用に手に入れた銃で隣人を撃った。そこからはもう誰も止められなかった。町中
That is
手元に
insane.
すべて武器になった。住民全員が殺し合い、生存者は一人もいなかった。
That is something Johan would do.
この町がそんなことに食い止めなきゃ。
I don't know.
始まる前に。
いや、
I
もうすでに始まっているかもしれない。
You might be right, Lunga.
ほら金出せよ。持ってんじゃねえかよ。さっさと出せよ。
ダメだよそのお金は。どうせアル中親父の酒代だろ。
酒の飲みすぎは体に良くないもんな。人助けだよ、人助け。おい、いつもの店で食い物買いに行こうぜ。
Yeah, kill them, dude. Just fuck them up.
坊や。憎いだろ。殺したいほど憎いだろ。
What is this voice? It's not Johan's.
コンラードに話つけに行くんだよ。
The drunk?
話つけるってどうやって？
さっきカフェに寄った時、亭主のラルフも他の客も俺たち見てニヤついてたの気づいたか。
そりゃ私たちが夫婦一緒にいるのが珍しかったからだろう。
いや、あいつらだって俺たちが宝くじで2000万マルク当たったなんて知ったら何をしでかすかわからない。
そんな。
だからこんな疑心暗鬼を続けてるぐらいならヤスと話をつけた方がいいって言ってんだよ。
そりゃコンラートさんは私が宝くじ当たったって知ってるかもしれないよ。だからってどうするのさ。
いくらか金を払ってもいい。それで奴を口止めするんだ。
だけどコンラートが欲深くて後から何度も金を要求されたら。
その時は
どうすんのさ。
わからねえ。この辺りじゃなかったか。奴がコケモンを取りに来る場所は。
あんた。コンラートさんそんな悪い人じゃないよね。私たちがやっと掴んだ幸運を台無しにするような人じゃないよね。
Alright.
ねえあんた。
Are they coming to their senses? Or is he like, no? Oh, did he see him? Is this where he's lying?
まさか。
俺じゃない。
こんな取り返しのつかないことして。
俺じゃないって言ってんだろ。
じゃあ誰がこんなことすんだよ。
知るか。俺は銃を買ってからまだ撃ってもいない。
うるさいな。ムカつくんだよあの犬。
Ooh, this is not good. The dog doesn't like you, my dude. Means you're a bad guy.
今日は随分とご機嫌だね。何かいいことでもあったのかい？
ついに現れたのよ。
Ooh, okay, Johan is here.
私をこの町から連れ出してくれる素敵な人。
Grimmer's like, holy shit, no.
くそ。町の連中。俺笑いもんにしやがって。くそ面白くねえ。酒、お前の欲しいのは。これじゃないのかね。
Holy shit, no! But wait, he has never seen. Well, first of all, what is that pentagram?
息子はもう受け取ったよ。
Is that Wim's father? I thought they were different alcoholics, but maybe, yeah.
犬の鳴き声が止んだ。
Maybe they're the same. I went Prague.
リプスキーさん。あなた、フランツ・ボナパルタの息子さんですね。 お父さんの居場所を教えてください。一刻を争うんです。早くしないと大変なことになる。知っているんでしょう、リプスキーさん。あなたのお父さんの居場所。その人形、ニナがモデルですね。あなたがここにいるってニナが教えてくれたんです。
ニナが？
カーテン開けておいて。
ああ。
私どのくらいしていたの？
She's been in the hospital, okay.
気にしないで。まだまだゆっくり休んでいた方がいい。
ありがとう。ずっと付き添っていてくれたの。なんとなくわかった。心配しないで。私はもう大丈夫。
Look, we're all worrying about you, Nina.
もうすぐライヒワイン先生と
That's a good sign.
あなたは
行かなくちゃ。
どこへ？
どこへか。
たくさん資料を集めてここで見ていたでしょ。何かわかった？私は大丈夫だから話して。
Yeah, talk.
プラハの元秘密警察の人間やボルフ将軍の部下に今手に入るだけの情報を集めてもらった。
Good.
フランツ・ボナパルタについて。
ああ、謎の多い人物だが少しずつプロフィールが分かってきた。
That's good.
ドイツ系チェコスロバキア人。フランツ・ボナパルタというのも偽名らしい。
Okay, alias.
戦後、多くのドイツ系チェコスロバキア人が故郷のボヘミア地方を追われた。
Short interlude here. I did realize that the old man is actually Franz Bonaparte, but I think so, right? The way he acted, the way he smiled, the way he was. I don't know who the woman is who's with him, but either way, like, I think he is Franz. Just wanted to say that. After the Second World War, he stayed in Czechoslovakia, despite many being chased out of it. Unknown which position he had. Married. Oh wait, give me a sec. Can I? Yeah, subtitles. Married with a Czech woman, son Lipsky, middle of 1960s. Bonaparte's son participated as a student in whatever that means. Well, I mean, it's cut off. As an author of children's books. It's not children's books, it's like picture books. Bonaparte used Jakob Walbeck and Emil Schebe. Let me go back for a sec. Jakob Walbeck, who had the big eyes, he had the big mouth. Emil Schebe, My Garden, A Monster Without a Name, Klaus Poppe, The God of Peace, right? Peter Čapek's Aussage soll Bonapartes Sohn in Prag leben. Well, yeah, Bonaparte's son lives in Prague, according to Čapek. German ancestors. Alright. I think that's all I get from that. Bohemia. Shout out to whatchamacallit, the game, Kingdom Come Deliverance, Bohemia.
共産主義下のチェコスロバキアで 彼が政府のどういう役職にいたかは明らかではない。
But he might have been involved
彼
in
は一度
general.
チェコ人の女性と結婚し、子供を
Okay, so he's kind of summarizing some of what is on
実は
the
その子供というのが
paper.
60年代中頃にすでに行われている
Maybe all of
初
it.
期段階の彼の朗読会に生徒として参加していたらしいんだ。プラハにボナパルタの息子がいる。ペトル・チャペックが最後に言い残した言葉はこの息子を指しているんだと思う。そして古い写真のコピーだが、60年代中頃の朗読会の少年たちを写したものが手に入った。どうやら
Yeah,
この一番左に
immediately.
写っている少年が
優秀ではない子供。彼は優秀な子供じゃなかったから朗読会を追い出された。
知っているのか。
彼はボナパルタにとっていらない子になった。おそらく私の知っているプラハの彼だわ。
その男は自分の父親のボナパルタの居場所を知ってい
And
る。
she says no.
わからない。
Oh, she does know.
彼が唯一の手がかり。
Okay.
早くしないと大変なことが起こる。
大変なこと。
私にはわかるの。ヨハンが何をしようとしているのか。
So you do know.
何を。
完全な自殺。
Ooh, yes.
唯一
True solitude. DED.
早くしないと罪のない人がたくさん死ぬ。
Alright, so this massacre. That's what we're talking about.
あなたの本だな。ボナパルタがペンネームで書いた絵本がいっぱいだ。私もほとんどを手に入れて読みました。何冊も読んでいるうちにあることに気づいたんです。彼の作品の登場人物はなぜかドイツ名だ。クラウス・ポッペ名義の平和の神様。この作品も。ところが問題はこのクラウス・ポッペというペンネームです。フランツ・ボナパルタという名も他のペンネームも全てチェコ名なのに、このペンネームだけがドイツ人の名前だ。もしかしてクラウス・ポッペというのはドイツ系チェコ人のお父さんの本名なのでは。
Okay, this is his real name.
同じ推理を展開して父の本名を言い当てた刑事が言いましたよ
You. Lunga, right?
ベーカーのルンゲという警部。
ルンゲ、彼がここに。
もう何週間も前に去りましたが、
去ったって。
彼はこうも推理した。いや、ルンゲ警部は推理というよりその本人になりきったそうです。私はクラウス・ポッペだ。私には帰るところがない。心の平穏を取り戻すために心のふるさとに戻るってね。
So he returned to Germany.
ドイツ敗戦によりボヘミア地方を追われ故郷を失った。彼の先祖はドイツのどこの出身なんですか？
詳しくは知らない。ただ子供の時、父がこう言ってたことがある。僕らの故郷は南ドイツの山に囲まれたある町。
South Germany, okay.
あんなもの僕はもういらないから、ルンゲ警部にあげたんです。3、4年前に届いた絵はがき。差出人のわからない山の上から町を見下ろした手書きの風景画が描かれていたカーペーってサイン入りの。
Klaus Poppe.
クラウス・ポッペ。
僕が知っているのはそれだけです。
南ドイツ、山に囲まれた町。
父は殺されるんです。
This is basically every town in Germany, by the
そ
way.
れだけでは済まない。
ニナは無事なんですね。僕はこの人形のドラマをハッピーエンドにしたいんだ。ニナを守ってください。一体何が起きようとしてるんですか？
彼はヨハンは再現しようとしている。
Oh no.
511
But how?
殺戮を
I mean, yeah, okay, the details are different, but
どんなことがあっても生きて帰ってテンマ。あなたは私を救ってくれた。だからあなたも。
a very assured look that he has in his eyes, which
雨が降り始めた。
is very interesting because to me this is Tenma at his worst and at his best at the same time. And the rain kind of symbolizes that.
酒をくれ。くそ。
どうだった？警察はもうコンラッドさんの死体見つけた？
いや、まだ行方不明ってことで捜査しているみたいだ。
やっぱり森の中に隠したりしなきゃよかったんだ。あの時すぐ警察に知らせてれば。
今さら何を言ってんだよ。お前だって俺が撃ったと思い込んだろうが。
Oh no, bro has made himself guilty.
だからったんだ。こんなもん買ってこなくたって。
This is not going well.
いくら待っても列車は来ないよ。この大雨で鉄橋が水浸しらしい。道路も川の氾濫で通行止めだ。
陸の孤島か。最悪の事態だな。
クラウス・ポッペね。
ご存知ですか？
ヤコブ・ファロベック、エミル・シェーベ。僕はすべてポッペと同一人物だと思うんだけどね。
You're a smart man.
絵柄も作風もそれぞれ描いてるけどね。僕ぐらいのマニアになると分かっちゃうんだ。なぜいくつものペンネームを使い分けたかは分からないけどね。絵は面白い。でもこの人の作品どうも好きになれる。
Okay, nice man as well.
暗い絵本なんて世界中に山ほどあるよ。でもね、この人のはそういうのとはまた違うんだよね。
どう違うんですか？
悪意が満ちてるっていうかな。
Ooh. Yep. I concur.
ヘルムート・フォスという作家の絵本、89年に発行された。金賞部数だからめったに多めに書かれないが、僕の見たところ、その作家はクラウス・ポッペと同一人物だ。
Ooh, another one of his picture.
だから僕ぐらいになるとわかるんだよ。いくら画風を変えてもどこかにその人の癖が出るんだな。話の内容はこれまでと一変している。ある泥棒が山あいの町に逃げ込んでくる。泥棒はその町でも人稼ぎしようと企むが、町の人々と交流するうちに盗み方を忘れてしまう。そして、町の人々のために働きながら静かに暮らすようになる。タイトルは安らぎの家。
Short, restful home, right? We said that Ruhenheim. Question though, how does his style pop up if the art is different and the content is different? I'm just wondering, okay? Right, I mean, maybe there's something in between, but the art and the content should make up a lot of what this book is, right? Maybe it's the moment-to-moment writing that is kind of showing? But if both is different, how does he know?
例の嫌な読後感はすっかりなくなった。ところが絵の方はさっぱりダメになった。不思議なもんだよね。話が良くなったと思ったら絵が描けなくなった。何か目標を失ったような感じというか。
安らぎの家、山あいの町。
Maybe he reached his goal. It's a crapshoot, Tenma, but okay, I'll bite.
南ドイツの地図ありませんか？
何探してんの？
南ドイツの山あいの町。あった。
South Germany is big, by the way. Okay, we analyzed that. These names sound like Bayern. Bavaria. Fishing. Funny. Polsterlang, Obermeißelstein, Tiefenbach, Nebelhorn. Nebelhorn is a mountain in Bayern, as far as I know. I think. The other towns, almost has everything. Might be everything. Yeah, I think this is everything. Rietzlan, Feisten, whatever that means. Großer Daumen. Klamm. Moos. Yeah, I only know Nebelhorn, which I think is in Bayern, Bavaria. I don't know if that's true though. We'll see. I mean, it would be South Germany. Bayern is one of the, like, is with Baden-Württemberg the most south. The state that is most south of all of the other states. Imposing.
ああ、どうですか、コンラートの行方はつかめましたか。
いや、全くわからない。相棒たちは今も捜索中です。とは言ってもこの雨の中じゃね。何しろ鉄道も道路も川の氾濫で普通と来ている。ご友人として心配でしょうが。まったくどうなってるんだ。あののどかだった町が。コンラートさんの行方不明に始まってヒルマンさんの犬の射殺。お気の毒にヒルマンさん寝込んでしまわれたようです。
ゆうべはパブから出たところでケムナさんが殴られたそうですね。渋滞だって聞きましたが。
殴ったやつは未だにわからない。もしケムナーさんが亡くなったとしたら、この町始まって以来の殺人事件ってことになる。こんな状況なのに大雨で応援も来ない。少ない人数でどうしろって言うんだ。よそ者ですよ、よそ者。
That's why Lunge was like.
今まで犯罪なんて皆無だった。よそ者の仕業です。
私たちもよそ者ですが。
いや、あなた方は。
よく降りますね。この雨の中。
But it is him.
も外へ出られませんよ。
See, this is what I don't get. If Bonaparte has been living here for a while, they should know him. So maybe this is a different guy? Or maybe Bonaparte was gone way, like, super long. Somebody else has been taking care of the home, or maybe nobody, and he just came back. And people just forgot. But I don't know. Like, something's not right there.
さて、相棒を拾ってもう一回り巡回してきます。
気をつけて。
ご主人の靴、ずいぶん汚れていますね。
ま
るで雨の中を歩いてきたみたいだ。電話をお借りしますよ。
Holy shit. His wife almost looks like a man, to be fair. Is he though? If he's been egged on.
どうしました？ガス欠ですか？それともオイル切れ？修理屋呼んであげてもいいですよ。
Just shoots a police officer, holy shit. Grimmer heard that.
電話が通じない。
もう止めることはできないのか。
That is a picture frame, holy shit. Of course. I mean, they're often disjointed and only show frames, but at this stage, I don't want to watch the previews, I'm gonna be honest. Because that would just be spoiling myself, and I don't want to do that. Alright, let's wrap it back and see what we can find. This smiling ass, rude ass motherfucker. Holy shit. I mean, he hasn't killed... Pretty sure he hasn't killed Conrad. That somebody else has killed Conrad. The question is, has he actually made somebody else kill Conrad? Or is that Johann's plan, or, right, like, being put into action. Where is Johann right now? Because I'm pretty sure he wants to be present for it. Since this is supposed to be a suicide anyway. So he's got a good plan though, right? That's a good marketing strategy to be like, hey, especially in this day and age, I don't know how it was back then, but in this day and age, it's like, hey, look, I make the jam myself, right? You're supporting somebody who is going after, like, who's doing that out of passion, right? A nice looking guy, right? Who's just like looking like he has fun doing what he's doing. That's a good marketing strategy, right? To have people, give the people that sense of like locality, regionality, familiarity, right? You can put a face to the person who's produced it in a world where everything is getting more and more mass produced. This is a very big selling argument today, but I don't know how it was in the 1990s. So, who are you two? Because that could be Bonaparte, but I don't know. Wouldn't people know him? Because he did want to go back to Ruhenheim, and he did that quite a while ago, supposedly. I feel sorry for this guy because, like, Conrad being one of his few friends, and his hotel business isn't going well, and all of that. I mean, he's old at this point, right? Like, but still, nobody should experience a loss like that. Love that frame, right? The sun shining through the trees here. The way the camera turns. Now we got him lying there in the shadows of a tree. Very interesting, these CCTV effects that we sometimes have over there. Almost reminds me of like what Metal Gear is doing when you have like Metal Gear Solid 4 or something, and you press that button when we have supposedly a memory, and then it flashes back to something that wasn't previously in a series, and suddenly it's like weird CCTV footage, like. Although I wonder if that is like the 4K upscale interlaced kind of deal. If that's coming from that, or if that is an original thing that was present even in the original monster. Like in the original version. And he's like, dude, something like that happened before. A single gun destroys towns. Zweifelstadt. Doubt City. These names. I mean, I'm sure it exists, that city, right? Ruhenheim also exists. I'm 99% sure. All thought the neighbor was a killer. Paranoid. One takes the first shot and then he's like, dude, why did you kill him? He was the killer. No, he wasn't. What did you do? Boom, 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 right? Or, I saw you kill him. Well, he was the killer. No, I don't think he was. Maybe you're the killer. And, yeah, I don't know. Crazy what paranoia and fear can do to people. Or hatreds and thoughts of revenge. No, don't worry. I believe in Wim. I think Wim's not gonna kill anybody. Famous last words. But I believe in him, right? I believe that he has a good core. But that is nefarious. You hate them, don't you? You hate them enough to kill them, don't you? And he gives him a gun. Because, like, later on, the alcoholic, right? He's like, your son took one as well. And I'm like, no, he didn't. What the fuck? You have the couple, what are you doing? I almost knew it, right? They were gonna stumble upon it, but the woman's like, wait, you killed him? And just completely out of her gourd here. And he's pointing the gun at her and she's like, oh no, he's gonna kill me too. But obviously we will regulate that. Right? In a second it's gonna be like, okay, you don't. Good. But for a second, I thought you did. Because probably she has thought it in the back of her mind too, and then she's like, right? Not the intention, but like maybe the passing like thought is like, no. But, right? Irrational thoughts. That's interesting. Like, finally appeared. Wonderful man who will take me away from here. So, could be that Johann is already there. Don't think it's Tenma. Tenma's not here yet. Very interesting. It's very interesting also how self-hatred and lack of self-confidence and guilt and all of these things play a role in keeping the cycles of addiction up, right? Or the cycle of self-destruction and violence. This guy, he probably feels very ashamed to be an alcoholic and looked down upon by everybody around him. He probably feels useless because he doesn't have a job and can't get any money in. He feels like maybe or probably other people mean him harm and look down upon him, which partially he's right about. He even hates himself for hitting his son and making him earn the money, right? It's like, oh shit, my hand slipped. Why did I do that? I'm a monster. Let me drink some alcohol to forget that, right? Like, there's a lot that goes into these things, right? Like this perpetuating cycle of just ruining your life, and once the avalanche starts rolling, oh, it rolls and it propels itself, and it is like the wind resistance ain't gonna stop it. So it's very interesting how you can tumble down. Pretty sure this guy was a very, very okay guy at some point in time. Maybe here and there a couple of issues, maybe some temper issues, maybe didn't pay attention to his family enough, or right? He lost his job, he got desperate and aggressive and bitter. His wife left him, and the son, which is also a very asshole move, I gotta say. If you leave him, take your son with him, especially if there's some aggression and temper issues going on. He lets it out on the son, right? Hates himself for it. Hates his wife who's not there anymore for leaving him, right? All of these things. And it perpetuates itself, right? The more I hate myself, the more pain I have, the more anger I have, the more I'm just drinking to get it all drowned out. So and yet there's still this guilt, this shame. This is not cool. Everybody looks down on me. I'm just that drunk guy. Isn't this what you really want? And I do not know why he's asking. I know why he's asking that, right? He's stirring up the pot. But the question I have is, what is his angle here? Is the angle the drunk's gonna want the gun because he's desperate to get some alcohol and he doesn't have money? Or is it the drunk's gonna want to have the gun because people did him dirty and now is finally his chance to get the revenge? Or maybe the drunk's gonna want to have a gun in order to end it. Right? Bro's like, is this guy crazy? And we have the Johann. And not entirely, because Johann is more cold, I feel. And this is more malicious. So this would fit onto the Bonaparte, right? Like, all of his works are malicious in nature. Your son already took one. Grinning at him in the most like devil monster grin you can see, right? Maybe that's the real monster, right? It's Bonaparte going into Johann, right? Taking him over from the inside. And that's what Johann wants to clean out, the monster. Wants to end it all in a grand massacre, with Bonaparte dying as well, and then he's gonna be like, well, first of all, it's not my fault. Second of all, I relish in the chaos. Third of all, I'm gonna clean out the monster with fire. And fourth of all, I have my true end. Maybe even at the hands of Nina or Tenma in a poetic way, because he knows they're following. Lunge looking up. The dog isn't barking anymore. Very observant, very observant. And we got Tenma coming in, being like, you're his son, right? Trying to get information. Bro's just desperate to know something about Nina. This guy's in love, and I'm so sorry because I don't think Nina's reciprocating. But hey, look, he's a nice guy, and that is important, right? Like, I wish him all the good in his life. And she's down for the count for the moment. I do wonder if she's gonna come to Ruhenheim. If she's gonna be there. I kind of wish she is. On the one hand, I'm like, no, please, no, I don't want her to die. On the other hand, I'm like, I think she needs to be there. This needs to be... Like, she needs closure too, right? She has gotten a lot of closure, but not everything. Really cool how they repeat the things that are in German on there, but they show it in German. Obviously, me, I have the advantage as a German being able to read all of that, and then it's like, okay, he's just repeating to me kind of the information that's on that paper. But yeah, whatever. And it looks so much like him, dude. It looks so much like Lipsky, dude. It's so fucking... You'd spot that one-to-one, always. Looking away, being like, oh, I know what we are talking about. She doesn't want to get him in danger, but he's the best lead. Love the, like, the puppets are creepy as fuck, okay? Like, the Anna Nina puppet is okay, right? It's okay. The right one is the stuff of my nightmares. Like, Egghead, Beanhead, get the fuck away from me. Pen names, all are Czechoslovakian. Only the Popper one is German. I didn't notice that, but hey. And this is where he came from. He is of German origin, even though he has Bohemian roots. Bohemia, Bavaria, that fits too, right? In terms of like general region, whatever. Like Czechoslovakia, very, very close to that as well. Trying to recreate another massacre. And she's like, promise me you'll come back. You saved me, and I think you'll deserve. The question is, okay, on which level did he save her? Because there's so many levels, right? Originally in the hospital, I think that's the weakest level we can talk about. In Heidelberg, pretty strong, right? Like, saved her, but also Johann wouldn't have killed her. So, kind of safe. I think there was one instance where he saved her in between. Next instance, when they met again in Munich with the fire in the library and whatever, he saved her again. Right, the thing collapsed. Everything was going to like he pulled her out of the ashes. And he saved her now, right? Like episode 67, when she was about to end it all. I would almost make the case that emotionally he saved her more than in any other instance, like physically. Obviously, physically he saved her as well, but that's not what matters to her as much. More as like you're the reason I'm still alive, but not like physically and whatever, but in the sense of the emotional appeals that they had, especially the last one. And he is like faintly smiling in a very downtrodden way, but we do see, like, I love that, right? Like his face is relatively covered in darkness. It's not absolutely dark, it's like a mid shade, right? And we have that faint little light peeking onto the side of his face, and that very, very faint smile that he's showing, like almost like he's assured that he can promise her to make it back alive, but also that he's happy that she's, well, somewhat doing better, that she's stable, right? She's not gonna end it, and she's right. I mean, as long as, like, one thing that's very important in therapy is, like, when it comes to suicidality and whatnot, there is like one very important thing we sometimes ask of patients is promise me that until we see each other in the next session, you're not gonna try to end it. And that is the thing that's often very effective, right? Because it's kind of like almost like a promise is something important, especially with a person that you are acquainted with and that you trust to a degree and that you have a relationship with. So a promise is kind of a way to give you more of a reason not to do it, right? It's almost like if I would be doing it, I would be letting the people down that I promised not to do it. And it's better than like it's one step further than just thinking about the people that would be sad and lonely without you. It's one step further to be like, okay, I actually explicitly told them I would not do it. So that is a good sign. That she's already like, I promise you I won't do it, right? I'm fine. Because even people who are planning, even people who have these thoughts and are planning to do it, even they kind of communicate that here and there, right? And let it show through, unless it is specifically already planned, very detailed for a specific time and place. Then you might be getting like the opposite, where suddenly everything is fine and everything's quiet, and it's like that mask of like almost that relief of everything's going to be over soon, it's fine, I got it all planned out and whatever. And I'm also not telling, obviously, because it's already set and I'm already like, I want to do it. But like if you're still in that in-between ambivalent state of I have those feelings, I have those thoughts, and like maybe I know how I might want to do it, but I don't have it planned in a concrete way, then you still got these things where people try to communicate that this is what they're feeling, this is what they're going through. Maybe not directly and in your face, but they're gonna hint at it. They're gonna call for help more often than not. It started to rain. It's not starting to rain, it's starting to pour. When it rains, it pours, and we already have a couple of deaths. Tenma doesn't know if he's gonna get out alive. At least that's what I get from this gaze. And there's heavy rain on in heavy clouds. Everything is oppressive and it's washing away all of the past. But the question is, in a good way or in a bad way, right? And with the heavy fog that's laying over all of Ruhenheim and everything that's like, it's so dingy and like it's almost like England or something, and holy shit, like the atmosphere is pungent with dread, with misery, with darkness, with grayscale. So great how we set this up. Clear shot, right? First of all, the window. Nice playing, right? Like one of the bottle is in one of the squares, the shadow is touching the shadow of the windowsill. You got like we got like the can as well in there, perfectly placed in those squares. And we have a perfectly squared head-on shot with him slightly tilted to the left side with his legs to make the shot more interesting and more discoordinated, less orderly. And as he's gazing at the gun is diagonal to his field of view, which makes the shot very like interesting because the focus is on the hand and the gun, and you do have the window, which is like the faint light coming in at the lower part of the screen, right? That is the center of everything, right? Gun being slightly off center, and as you can see, as the gun is slightly tilted, our viewpoint is also not straight and head on, it's also slightly tilted. Dutch angles. Unease. Dutch angle. Unease. Clear angle. No unease. Grimmer, also very symbolic, right? Heavy rain, everything is coming down. He's stuck here, isolated, but like maybe even back against the wall in a way with the pillar here, but he's sheltered from the rain. It's not pouring on him, it's not raining on him, but he can't prevent the rain from going everywhere else and washing everything away. It's like he's saying, he's looking up, he's like, so this is a solitary island. For that, he was like, somewhere he was like, we can't stop it. And then later on, when the gunshot is. And we go to a book dude, right? Somebody who's like probably very versed in picture books and whatnot. And like they're all the same person, they have the same style. Not the same art style. It's always different, but like the way he writes. Maybe even the content he uses, except for that last book. Ooh, serious frame. Serious frame. One more thing. Tactical. From up to down, giving knowledge, passing it on to Tenma. Tenma surprised. Helmut Voss. 89. Very late, right? 89 is around the time like reunification. That is after the Lieberts and everything. Not many printed. Same person, I just know. Very interesting how is it drawn, right? Like almost like a bum, but also not really a bum, more like a robber, right? Like you would in an old picture book. This is what you would draw a thief like, right? With like the hair that's standing out to every side, black hair specifically. The long nose, the bags under the eyes, that makes perfect sense, right? All black colored. When his stories get good, his art gets bad. It seems like he lost sight of his goal, or he reached it. And now it's like, well, or maybe he lost sight of his goal, which is Johann and Anna, or Nina. But also maybe he reached that goal, that experiment, he kicked it off, and then it's like, okay, now there's nothing more for me to do than wait. And maybe see the results. I look at the map. Again, the angles. Dutch. Even that is a Dutch angle. It's not a complete, like, right? It's almost straight, but look at how our shot is in relation to the table and to that wooden wall paneling here. It's slightly off, just very slightly off. Nothing ever happened here. It's the work of outsiders, and the outsiders who are stirring trouble are coming in. They're like, we're outsiders. You mean we did something? It's like, no, not you. You're nice. It's like, no. But Lunges immediately is like, wait, bro in a wheelchair? Shoes? Muddy? What's happening here? Where were you? Could you walk? What are you hiding? And both of them are like, look at the slit of those eyes. Holy shit, it's like, this motherfucker, we gotta take care of him. Right, interesting. We're driving down the drunk, driving past the drunk. And he's like, oh, there's somebody here. And I don't know where like, it's not the couple, obviously, so it's somebody else. It's not Johann. So who the heck, which party do you belong to? And why are you shooting our police officer? It's not, whatchamacallem, my guy, like the Johann worshipper. It's not Roberto either. So, interesting. Who are you? I mean, you're too young for Bonaparte, right? Because we think that like the man of the couple is Bonaparte, but you're too young for Bonaparte. He must be a lot older at this point. He wrote picture books as early as 89. He was part of like Czechoslovakian thing after World War II. Communist Party. So he's gotta be old enough, right? Okay, another gunshot. Lunge can't get through. They're like, haha, everything is according to plan. Lunge's like, yeah, no, it isn't. Shut the fuck up. But everything is gray, brown, scalish. All of the clouds, not a single speck of blue in the sky. All feels like almost all the water in the entire sky is pouring down and washing away this town in a great flood, right? This is how it feels. And we're opening up with the trees, almost like little arms in the night, reaching out on this town, enveloping it. Yeah, cool. The title of the next is The Town of Slaughter. Holy. We got 4 episodes left. 4 episodes left of this grand series. I don't even know how to finish off this series. Honestly, I have no idea. But this was another amazing 2 episodes. As 80% of this series is. I hope you enjoyed this reaction. I don't know when it's gonna come out. If you want to support me, and I've been posting regularly, hopefully. If you want to support me, go check out my Patreon. I appreciate every donation I get, mostly because if I regularly get something, I can make this my side hustle, right? While I'm still studying. I am a psychologist now. I've got my bachelor's degree. But the master's is still ahead for me to become a therapist, right? Only after the masters I can try starting to treat people, although under supervision at that point still. It's like almost like practical years for a doctor and stuff at this point in terms of how it's organized after studying. But yeah, do let me know what you think. I always love reading your comments. Point something out you noticed that I didn't, or cool stuff. Just try to keep it spoiler free, but either way, check out my Patreon, check out my other series. We're probably gonna start up a couple of gaming stuff, so hold out on that. I have been a gamer for a long time and I really want to get back into it. That doesn't mean that I'm gonna stop the anime stuff, but I do want to dial it back a bit, right, and keep it more of like a balance of, I don't know how many series, depending on how much time I have at the given time, but do a couple of anime series, do a couple of gaming series at the same time, like a 50-50 thing, maybe even a little bit more gaming for a while, we'll see. There's so many games that I want to play, so much stuff that we can explore together. Doesn't mean it's the end for anime, but it's definitely going to be somewhat of a focus shift, maybe, a little bit. At least until amazing and cool series come out that I will obviously participate in again, like Monogatari or like whatever, right? New, interesting, and cool stuff. Free Run Season 2, all of that. But yeah. I hope I'll see you next time, and I do hope it stays as amazing as it is, but I do not doubt that for this series. It's only 4 episodes left. I'll see you next time.